Happy Monday, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for joining us today here for the AMA, like the info session about the Migrapreneur Fellowship. So the way we're going to do this today is I'm going to start by giving you guys a brief overview about Catalysr and what we do at Catalysr. And then from there, we'll jump into the program, so the fellowship, and kind of, what do we do during the fellowship? What's the purpose of the fellowship? From there, I'll go over some key information like key dates and stuff like that, as well as sharing, important links. And then from there, I'm happy to take any questions. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, do feel free to put them in the chat. I'll see them and I'm happy to answer them as we go along. Otherwise, we'll have a bit of dedicated time as well. Kind of once I've gone through all of this to discuss any other questions that you might have. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. So Catalysr. So Catalysr, we are a non-for-profit foundation, non-for-profit organization. And we're, in short, we are a startup accelerator that works specifically with founders from migrant and refugee backgrounds. So we run two separate programs. The first one is called the, previously was formerly known as the Pre-Accelerator, but now we've changed it, and now it is the Fellowship, which we'll go into in a bit more detail in a minute. And the second one is the Accelerate program. So the Accelerate program, is for, is for kind of more advanced entrepreneurs, generally for businesses that are already, have a product out in the market and all of that. And you can learn more information about the Accelerate program on our website. And I'm also happy to answer questions about that as well. But I just want to make that distinction that, it is a different program. And today we'll be talking about the fellowship. We've been, we've been working with migrant founders since 2016. So since then, we've worked with about 520 founders and helped them start about 175 businesses. We work mainly like historically, we've worked in Sydney, but now over the last couple of years, we've been working with founders from all over Australia. So, so it doesn't matter where you are, you can still participate. I guess that's one of the good things that came from the pandemic, is that it pushed everyone to virtual, basically. So, so that's the overview of Catalysr. In terms of, I guess now, what we're all here for, so getting into the fellowship. So the, as I mentioned earlier, previously known as the Pre-Accelerator, the fellowship is a 10-week program. So it's a program specifically for very early stage migrant entrepreneurs. So people who are just kind of toying with an idea, who are kind of keen to explore, what might be necessary in starting a business, and then also kind of becoming familiar with the startup ecosystem. We've also, part of the change to the fellowship was also to make it valuable for people who are also looking to just work in startups as well. So in effect, the point of the fellowship is to help people who are, or migrants who are interested in either becoming a part of the startup ecosystem as an employee or in starting their own startup. So as I mentioned before, it's a 10-week program. It's a 10-week program that consists of weekly master classes. So the objective is education. So on a weekly basis, we'll do different master classes, and then we come together and we'll discuss them in certain, like in sessions. So, I'll just jump straight into this and I'll show you guys kind of what I'm talking about here. It's a bit easier, I think. So I'll just share my screen real quick. Okay. So can everyone see my screen all right? Good. Okay, so here you would have seen this. So this is our website. It talks a little bit more about the fellowship. So basically, on a weekly basis, we'll release a new masterclass. So that will be here on our online platform. This is called Teachable, and this is where we will we will post everything. So on a weekly basis, a new module. So this is the first module, for example, the entrepreneurial mindset. On a weekly basis, we'll post things here and, let you know that they're available. And then at that stage, it's up to you. You can do those modules on your own time, whenever it's most convenient for you. The weeks start every Monday. So this first one will be available on Monday, the 4th of April, which is when the program officially kicks off. And you can go through everything. So for example, I'll have a look here. We've got content. We source content from, from some other accelerators and other kind of, important people in the ecosystem or in the startup scene all over the world. So for example, we do use some of the Y Combinator content, for example, which is really valuable. And then we also make some of our own content as well. So you'll see a good mixture of, kind of international perspective and then also local perspective as well. And then of course you can leave a comment and discuss things with, with other people in the program. Just got a question here. Is it self-paced learning? Yes and no. So on a weekly, this is a cohort-based course. So you will be in a cohort of people all working on the same course at the same time. It is asynchronous in that, it's not, for example, every Monday at 5 p.m. that we all come together and do this all at the same time. We do give you a week to do or to go through the modules and go through all the content on your own time, because we know that, even people who aren't looking to start a business, are often busy, right, with life, with work, with family and all that. And so we understand that, we kind of have to be flexible in that instance. The second part is that we will be doing different community events and workshops. So at the beginning of the program, we'll do an onboarding session where the whole cohort will come together and we'll all discuss things about the program, discuss different challenges you guys might be facing. And then we'll also have one at the end of the program. And then in between those two, we'll have different workshops and events that are attended by current participants in our programs, and then also by, past participants, so alumni, and then other people kind of in the ecosystem or people that are partners with us. So those workshops can be, for example, mentor events where we can kind of pair you up with mentors to ask questions and stuff like that. It could be, for example, how to create content for like marketing content, for example. It could be about how to kind of legally start up a business. So things like actually registering a business, or for example, getting started with like accounting, basic accounting for a business, stuff like that. It really depends. But basically we do a bunch of different, events. Then we also have our Slack room. So we have a Slack room where the entire Catalysr community resides, I guess, online. So we have founders, again, from all over Australia, and then also lots of mentors from our network are also part of that Slack room. And of course, us, obviously, the Catalysr team. And so you will have your kind of like your own private channel. So the intake 1 of the fellowship will have its own private channel where you guys can discuss the content that you guys will be doing together over the 10 weeks. And then in addition to that, you'll also have access to all the other channels where all the other alumni are, are as well. So for example, there's general, and then we also have state channels. So for example, if you live in WA, you can connect with all the, all the Catalysr alumni that live in WA, for example, or same thing with Victoria or New South Wales and Adelaide, and so on and so forth. So, and then another part of that is that after the program is that you can remain in the Slack room. So we do consider you part of the Catalysr community for life, which, kind of brings me to my next point, is that from there, upon completion of the program, you'll become a fellow. So the point there is to emphasize, I guess, that you're always a part of our community. But then in addition to that, we also wanted to give participants that complete our programs a bit more, I guess, leverage, or, to be able to kind of use our brand power to then access other opportunities within the ecosystem. So for example, once you complete the program, you'll be issued a certificate or a badge, which you can then use on your LinkedIn profile, for example. So if you are out looking for a job, you can use that as a part of your, your resume or your experience. In addition to that, like for example, if you are actually starting a startup or you're working on it already, then you can, it also kind of gives you, the ability to quote us or use us on your website, for example. So many of our alumni use us on like an about page, or they'll say that they're partnered with Catalysr, or so on and so forth. Or, in addition to that, they can also, access other opportunities or other people or other organizations through us. So for example, if you reach out to us and say, hey, I would, like to speak to, X organization about that. If we know them, if we have a connection with them, then we're happy to do that. Really depends. But I think the key here is it's upon completion. So, we can see who goes through all the content, who's done everything. And then you'll also be in close contact with our community manager, Dev, throughout the program as well. And so once we've seen that, that you've put the work in and all of that, then, we'll understand that you've completed the program and that, we'd like to, I guess, proceed on that basis. So that's the program. So I guess now that we're talking about the, I guess becoming a fellow and after the program, I'll also mention that we have a Migrapreneur, what we call them, the alumni portal. So also after you finish the program, in addition to, the certificate, you'll also get access to our portal. So within our portal, we have a resource database, which you'll also have access to while in the program. So I'll show you guys right here. Give me 1 second. Let me just move this out of the way. So if we go back here, you'll see we also have a resource database where we've compiled, a bunch of different resources that we've used over the years. Oh, 1 second, let me, okay, I'll have to show you guys later. But basically, we've got a large database full of different videos, blog posts, services, service providers. So think lawyers, accountants, migration services, for example, and other different kind of SaaS products that you can access and get deals on as well. So we have a bunch of partnerships with different service providers and also, I guess, like SaaS products. So think, for example, Zendesk or Airtable or, Segment and other really kind of valuable online services or, SaaS products. That have been really helpful. Also AWS credits. So you can get AWS credits as well, as a Catalysr alumni to kind of help you if you're starting up something online or starting a tech product. And effectively, it's a large database full of a bunch of, things that have been valuable to our alumni in the past. Second to that, we have a database of mentors. So I'll just stop sharing here real quick. We also have a database of mentors. So these are people that we've worked with over the years and that have, mentored our cohort before. And many of them are founders themselves, so they can relate on several levels, but then they're also specialized in, in their own industry as well. So you can request connections to mentors through the portal as well. We'll receive those requests and then we can put you in touch with that person and, you can take it from there. You'll also have access to us, to the Catalysr team. So we do frequent office hours as well. So you can reach out to, like within the portal, you can book time with either myself, with our CEO, Usman Iftikhar, and then also with our community manager, Dev. So yeah, so I think that's the, I guess that's kind of like the overview of Catalysr, the overview of the program, and then also, kind of what happens after the program. So now I think I will go towards key dates. So obviously, here, I'll just show you guys again real quick, and I'll also share the link to this page later, so you guys don't have to worry too much about writing it down now. But basically here on our website on the fellowship page, you can just scroll down here to key dates and click this open. So this year we'll be running 2 intakes of the Migrapreneur Fellowship. So the first one, so intake 1 is the one that's coming up now, which starts on the 4th of April and it goes to the 12th of June. The application deadline for intake 1 is the 30th of March at 5 p.m. So you can apply here. So if you just click on apply now, you will see it's a very kind of short and quick and easy application process. You can just jump through in here and just fill out your details on this form. You can also save it and resume it later if you wish. Although it is quite a short process, so I don't think that'll be necessary, but if for whatever reason you need to, you can. Generally, we'll notify you of the outcome of your application within 1 to 2 business days. And you know, you'll be notified via email either way. If for whatever reason we require more information from you, we'll reach out to you via email as well and ask you to supply that additional information. Otherwise, you will receive an email from us basically telling you that you have been accepted to the fellowship, and you know, with a kind of a list of next steps there, which is just a couple of things. We'll be sending you, you know, some like calendar invites and stuff like that to different events. So for example, I mentioned the onboarding session is the 6th of April, which is a Wednesday, the 6th of April at 6 p.m. on Zoom. Let me have a look here. Yeah, so the dates for the live session. So right here, the first one is the onboarding session. So 6th of April, 6 p.m. on Zoom. And then our wrap-up session at the end of the program is the 8th of June at 6 p.m. also on Zoom. In between those 2 dates, like throughout the program, we will have other events that we have yet to announce. So I'm not sure, I don't know what those dates are quite yet, but you know, we'll be announcing them on Slack and also via email to our, you know, and on our socials and all of that when we do know, and once we have, you know, speakers and all those other kinds of things finalized for those events. Intake 2, so as I mentioned, we'll be running 2 intakes. That one starts on the 18th of July. The application deadline for that intake is the 12th of July. So if now, you know, while we're kind of talking about this, you're thinking, oh, you might want to apply for intake 2 instead, then I would suggest you wait for a bit until our application deadline for this current intake passes. So wait until after the 30th of March, basically. And we will get your application then and assign you to intake 2. And similarly, so 12th of July is the deadline, the application deadline for intake 2. Same thing, same process in terms of like the notification of the outcome of your application. And then intake 2 onboarding session will be the 20th of July, and the wrap up will be on the 21st of September on Zoom. So I'll go into some eligibility criteria. So for this particular program, the eligibility criteria is quite straightforward. So in short, there must be, you know, and I think the key criteria here is that there must be at least 1 migrapreneur on your founding team. So if you are, for example, you've already, I don't know, gotten together with a couple of mates and you've decided that you want to explore a business and you want to start a business or start a startup. In that case, at least one of you must be born outside of Australia. So we make mention here of first-generation migrants. In our context, first-generation migrants are people that are born outside of Australia. So it doesn't matter when you got to Australia. So for example, if you got here when you were 6, or you know, got here a couple years ago when you were 20 or 50 or whatever, we don't mind. The main criteria is that there's at least 1 person on your founding team that was born outside of Australia. So another point I guess I'll make while we're talking about teams is that you do not have to be a part of a team, or you know, you don't have to have co-founders to join the program. Almost everyone, in fact, joins the program on their own. They're solo founders for the most part. and yeah, it's just that if you are joining alone, then the criteria for you is that you must have been born outside of Australia. In terms of I guess visa status and stuff like that, so you do not need to be a citizen to participate in the programs. However, so for example, you can be an international student if you if that's your situation, or you might have a temporary work visa of sorts. That's fine. You just need to make sure that you are, obviously meeting your visa requirements and that you are able to work, basically. And that, under the conditions of your visa, that you are able to work. Mentioned idea early stage, that's fine. And then, based in Australia. So currently we're only offering the fellowship to people who are already based in Australia. That may change in the future, but for the time being, we're looking to support migrants who are already here in Australia. You can go through the FAQs. I think I've kind of gone through all of these already. If English is not your first language, I mean, we expect that, that's fine. But we do expect that you are able to communicate in English and you'll understand the content and all of that. So it's not, if English is not your first language, or if it's something that you're still kind of working on, that is fine. But you do need to have, like, I guess, a baseline level where you understand and can communicate English. Cost of attendance. So there is, the cost of attendance is free. The program is free. So, that's it. Basically, you don't have to pay for the program by any means. There's no hidden costs. We don't sell things, after the fact, for example. So we're not going to charge you for, access to mentors, for example, or access to other content or programs of ours, or, even membership, I guess, of our Slack room, or all of that. Everything that we do with Catalysr Foundation is free for participants, for you guys. I will just, while I'm here, I will post this here in the chat so everyone can see. And everyone can, I'll also share, I'll share a copy of this recording on via email afterwards to everyone. And then also, I'll include some of these important links as well, so that you guys can refer to them later if you need to. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, I think, for now in terms of what I have to say, but I'm happy to take some questions now. If anyone has any questions that they've been sitting on, or if you can either unmute yourself and ask, or I'm happy to, I guess, read them in the chat and answer them there. I must have done a really good job of explaining all of this. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? You can unmute yourself, or you can just pop it in the chat if you like.
Maybe, okay, you go, Steve.
Yeah, I have a question about, let's say after this fellowship, and then we develop an idea, right? And then in terms of what kind of supports do you provide for when we seek funding? Let's say either it is, let's say if somebody want to start some kind of a business or social enterprise, what kind of support do you provide for when they try to seek funding?
Mm-hmm. So it really depends. So I think I'll be upfront here and say that a lot of people going into starting a startup are kind of fantasizing a bit about funding, about getting investors, and stuff like that. So for the most part, again, it really depends on the situation, where you're at in terms of where your business is at, where you guys as founders are at. But for the most part, we generally suggest that people look for other sources of funding before seeking out venture capital, for example. So let's say, for example, there are grants. So in Australia, in New South Wales and Victoria, there are, in Australia, I guess as a whole at a federal level, there are many grants out there for early stage founders or people who are trying to, start a business. So for example, in New South Wales, we have the MVP grant, which is about $25,000. And those are for, early stage businesses who are working on putting something out into the market. So for example, we've supported loads of alumni in the past by writing them letters of support or connecting them with different people to help them get those grants. We've also, our CEO, Usman Iftikhar, also works with another organization that helps as a facilitator for startup founders to get the Accelerating Commercialization grant. And the Accelerating Commercialization grant can be up to $1 million. So in short, I guess the answer to your question is that if you are in a place, or if your business is in a place where you are starting to look for funding, whether that be for grants or from venture capitalists or other I guess kind of angel investment, other sources, then we are happy to support you with what we can. So I guess kind of on the flip side, it would be up to you to tell us what you need from us. So would you like a connection to someone at a specific VC firm, for example? So you mentioned social enterprise. So for example, there are a couple of different VC firms in Australia that work specifically with social enterprises. So would you like a connection to someone at one of those firms? Do you want us to write a letter for you? What is it type thing? It really depends, but I guess that the short answer to your question is that we're happy to help you, within reason. We just need to, I guess, know what you need. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Sure. And I think, Diane, I saw you. Yeah, there you go. Am I saying your name right? I hope so.
Yeah, that's right. I think just one question, and I'm not sure whether I saw it on the FAQs as well. Will there be a session where we're doing pitching, like a pitch session for the participants of the Migrapreneur Fellowship?
So we do have a module in the program. So towards the end of the program, we do pitching. So we do we have a workshop that we did some time ago with one of our board of directors. His name is Alan Jones. He's a startup coach, and he's very, also an investor. And he's a very, I think, trying to put this an important figure, or a prominent figure is probably the right word, in the startup ecosystem, particularly here in New South Wales, but also across Australia. So we do have a workshop that we did with him there. And in terms of the actual pitch practice, that is something that we'll likely do as a workshop together, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Do you have any, I see, I have a question in the chat here, which is, what is the end result of this program? So I think that kind of depends on you, is the short answer to that question. If you are trying to start a business, you have an idea, you'd like to start a business, then hopefully the end result, well, I guess it also depends on where you started, where you were at in that journey when you started the program. But let's just say you started with an idea. Hopefully towards the end of the program, you will end up with a clearer idea of the business that you want to pursue, because you'll have done some validation, you'll have organized your thoughts on a lean canvas. Ideally, you'll have done some customer research, and potentially already created an MVP as well, to get some data and some understanding on, whether or not your idea is accepted by the people that you're trying to sell it to. So I think, again, it really depends on kind of where you're at, what you want from this program, and also, I guess, the effort that you put into it, right? So we're not, hand-holding. We're not holding anyone's hand on this journey. We are here to support and help you, but we can't do this for you. We're not going to deliver, a startup for you at the end of the program. You need to be actively out doing it and doing the work to do it. So it really depends. If you are looking for example, if you want to just kind of understand more about the startup ecosystem and what it's like to work in a startup, because you would like to then subsequently work in a startup, then I think the end result would be that you would have a significantly better understanding of how startups work towards the end. And then, you know, and additionally, there is also, you know, we know lots of people. You know, we've again been, you know, as an organization, we've been operating in Australia for 6 years now. So, I mean, we know lots of people with lots of startups. We have lots of alumni that have successful startups now as well. So there is also a chance, we won't guarantee it, and we're not a recruitment company, but there is also a chance that you can work with people that we've already, like people like startups that have already gone through our programs, or other ones, you know, that exist in the ecosystems themselves. But I think the short answer to that question is it's up to you. And I see here, and no equity. So no, we do not provide any, we do not ask for equity in startups. Yeah, we don't take equity.
Thank you.
No worries. Do you have any other questions? I understand it's a lot of information kind of all taken all in one go. So if you have any questions afterwards, you know, don't hesitate to just reach out to us via email. So what I'll do while we're here,
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
How big is the pool of migrapreneurs there within Catalysr? How big is the alumni?
So about 520.
Oh, that's okay, cool. Thank you.
No worries. And that's only alumni. We also have a network of approximately 1,000 people that have, you know, been on our journey with us some way, shape, or form. So that includes mentors, that includes, you know, private and VC investors. It includes government officials. It includes, you know, executives at top companies and stuff like that. We've met quite a few people along the way. And so we, you know, they're part of our network as well, in addition to the 520 odd alumni. Okay, well, what I'll do here real quick is I will just repaste these links. So this is the link to the fellowship page on our website. So so it's just catalysr.com.au/fellowship. Then in addition to that, we've also got, I'll also share the application page. So again, pretty simple. It's just catalysr.com.au/apply. And as I mentioned, if you'd like to apply for intake 2, so please just wait until after this current intake has passed. And then what we'll do as well is, you know, if you don't want to like set a reminder for yourself or anything like that, you could just follow us on LinkedIn, or you could also subscribe to our newsletter on our website. And we'll be, you know, announcing effectively when applications are open for subsequent programs through those channels as well. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, if we don't have any more questions, that's fine. What I'll do is, like I mentioned, I'll send around a copy of this recording via email to everyone later this afternoon. And then I'll also include some of these key links. So for example, to the fellowship page, and then also including some of the key dates and all that as well, just to reiterate. But yeah, so I guess last chance. Anyone have any questions, any concerns, any last little thoughts? Oh, thank you.
Maybe not really a question, but probably just a statement that, yeah, this is a great program, especially for people who are already had that fire in them like myself. But I just recently moved here as well in Australia with no family and friends. So I guess it's really having that community of like-minded people is great. So I just want to say that.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you. Yeah, and I think you've actually already applied. That's
Yes.
correct?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Well, then I think we'll be seeing you later on then.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, everyone. Well, in that case, I guess I'll wrap it up. Enjoy the rest of your lunch break and the rest of your day. If you're in Sydney, please keep dry. And otherwise, I will hopefully talk to you guys later, and I'll look out for your applications. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.